Your operator part, like I 100% believe that to be true, right? That effectively, like this will be the backstop to all of this, where it's like, okay, like if all other mechanisms fail, we can just like throw operator at this, and basically, it can iterate and like it can do this, and if it takes an hour to do it, that's fine. Like that's the ultimate backstop to some information that you need, but that's actually pretty slow, right? And if we believe that tokens per second and like just the total throughput of these systems just like grows vastly, which I personally believe to be true, um, then that quite quickly becomes a limiting factor. Like, I think we chatted about this like in the context of like Amdahl's law, right? Where effectively like let's say, in a current system, like 50% of the operator time is just waiting for the system to load, right? To load that web page, to load that like record, to, that SAP, ERP, whatever like system you wanted to interact with. Um, and like if we go and like currently it's like 50% the human does it, 50% like the system is just like loading. And if you now replace that human with an AI, right, that might be 1,000 times faster. The total speed up you can get out of that system is only 2x, which isn't actually like that much, right? Arguably, like 2x is pretty uninteresting from a pure product innovation perspective.
Where do you get 2x from?
So this is just like Amdahl's law, like the part that can't be sped up, right? The serial part, so to speak. And if you look at it like serial parallelizable, like that's your thing. The part that can't speed up ends up dominating the overall speed up performance. And so
Right.
effectively, this comes from like the time for the parallelizable part, or in this case, like the part that an AI agent can do, goes to zero. Right.
Yeah.
And the part that is just waiting is like the dominant factor. And if you scale that out, right, it's basically like one over the part um, that a human needs to do. Sorry, that basically, yeah, you need to wait for it. And if you want that overall system speed up to be much greater, like if you want AI agents to actually like do this, like what people are imagining, right, where effectively they can do a week's worth of work in a few minutes, right, then you need to give it tools to actually do that quickly, right? I don't actually believe you could operate like just like use a cloud VM instance and be fast enough to actually do a lot of these things that people want to do. And like as models get smarter and as models get better, right, like effectively the component of like how fast can you do this, how reliably can you do this, and at like what throughput can you do this actually becomes the bottleneck of the like total
Hmm.
AI agent system. And I think like that's kind of like the other thing. And but yeah, like I think like uh, yeah, for us, right, like currently the best way to provide models context is like have people tell that to a model. The second best way is RAG, which is what we're currently working on. But essentially, like I don't really care about the technology that we use to solve the problem. What I really care about is that like we really, really focus on this problem of like, hey, how can we actually connect that intelligence that we have and that is growing, right? And that, the great people at all the labs, right, et cetera, are doing, are working so hard to do. And how can we actually connect that to like the real world where it'll have to take actions, where it'll have to use information, synthesize new information, like, and push that forward. And like that connector is, I think, like what I'm personally really interested in.
Hmm. Okay, interesting. Yeah, because the interaction then between the operator and the environment, there's like two aspects to what takes time. Like today you have significant inference time on the AI side, but so then the slowness of the environment doesn't seem that severe, but the time of AI inference like drops dramatically at the moment and would probably continue to. And then at one point you will have inference speed that is like super quick, but then the environment that it interacts with is like super slow, and then it doesn't matter that all of these labs pour so much research money on making it quicker because the environment is still slow, and this is the problem you're trying
Yeah.
to solve essentially.
This is exactly the problem.
Hmm.
And so if you actually like want these systems to do what people want them to do, right, which is effectively like, yeah, like, hey, can this do the work that currently a team does in, a week, a month, a year, right? Um, and you wanted to do it incredibly quickly, you also have to work on those tools and you have to
Hmm.
make them fast, right? And like, uh, Cloud VM operator is the slowest way that you could conceivably do this. right? And the fastest is something like a read-only copy of the data that is sitting somewhere, and that's like RAG on one end, right? And like different types of data will like require different solutions, and like yeah, some systems will just never change or are so incredibly slow to change that most likely will never actually um, most likely will never
Mm.
like operator will be the only way to interact with them for another like decade.